Good day, children. Today we move on to the fifth poem from the textbook Beehive. The poem is titled No Men Are Foreign. This poem is written by James Kirkup. James Harold Kirkup was an English poet, translator, and travel writer. He wrote over 30 books, including autobiographies, novels, and plays. He wrote under many pen names, including James Falconer, Aditya Jha, Jun Honda, Andrew James, Teku Kawai, and many more. This poem is written in free verse, that is, there is no rhyme scheme for this poem. Remember, no men are strange, no countries foreign. Beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. Like ours, the land our brothers walk upon is earth like this in which we all shall lie. So, in the very first line, the poet says that no men are strange, no country is foreign. So, here he's trying to remove the borders which exist on our world and which these borders have been kept to separate different countries. So, he's saying that once you take these borders away, then no country will be foreign. We will feel that every country is our own land when you don't have any borders and people are free to move around. So the poet wants to say that the entire earth is one and all the people who live on this earth belong to one human race. And in the second line you can notice he says that inside the uniforms that are worn by soldiers of different countries, the human being is the same. No matter what shade of color or what pattern of uniform you wear, beneath these uniforms, you still belong to the human race. Then he says that God has made all of us in a similar manner. We all breathe in the same way. And so he says that all the soldiers are our brothers and we all walk upon the same Mother Earth, and upon our death we shall lie in the grave in the same earth. So even when we walk around alive on this earth, and once we die and we are buried on the ground, we all belong to Mother Earth. They too, aware of sun and air and water, are fed by peaceful harvests, by war's long winter starved. Their hands are ours, and in their lines we read a labor not different from our own. So here they refers to those people who belong to other countries. So we call them foreigners and we discriminate them and we fight with them also. So the poet is telling us that nature has given us all bounties to all people, just like he has given to us. So it's equal. It's not that nature has differentiated. Every human being is given the same bounty by nature, and everyone gets the same sunlight, air and water in equal measure. So this shows that God does not differentiate between people from different countries. We all do farming during the time of peace, especially when there is no war, or we lead a relaxed life and we eat things that are given to us by nature. Going ahead, he adds that the way we starve during wars and winter time is the same for those belonging to other countries also. Even they don't get food at that time. It's not that there's a war happening in their country and the people there are enjoying their time. No. When a war takes place, there is absolutely no food for people. So he is trying to tell us that foreigners who belong to another country and we are the same. The poet says that even their hands are the same as ours. They work very hard just like we do. So he is giving all these examples to convey that there is no difference in us and people belonging to another country. So the work done by us and the work done by people belonging to another country is the same. Remember, they have eyes like ours that wake, or sleep and strength that can be won by love. In every land is common life that all can recognize and understand. So the poet is asking the reader to remember something. He is saying that we should keep in mind that the people of another country, whom we think to be our enemies, have been bestowed by God with similar appearance like us. They also have eyes that wake just like us. God has given them the eyes like ours, which open when awake and close when we are asleep. Similarly, He has also given them the strength which we can win through love. So he says that in every country, in every land, there is one common thing, which is life. Life means all the things that are living. And if we can recognize them and if we can understand their feelings and realize that they are like us, then there will be no fights or wars between us. So true, isn't it? We live in a world where people are fighting within the country, between two countries, between the borders. We are always having some sort of a fight or another. But here, these lines shows us that we all belong to the same human race. We all open and close our eyes. There is no difference, or there's no difference in the manner in which we behave, in the manner in which we are made by God. So it is important that we recognize what it is to be alive, and if we recognize the feelings of the people belonging to another country and they realize our feelings, then there will not be any more wars or fights between people. Let us remember, whenever we are told to hate our brothers, it is ourselves that we shall dispossess, betray, condemn. Remember, we who take arms against each other, it is the human earth that we defile. Our hells of fire and dust outrage the innocence of air that is everywhere our own. Remember, no men are foreign and no countries strange. So, here the poet is asking us to remember that whenever someone asks us to hate a person from another country, to think about that person as our enemy, and when we consider such a person to be our enemy, what happens is we are actually depriving ourselves, we are cheating ourselves, and we are condemning ourselves. So here, dispossess means to dislodge or to deprive. So the poet is trying to tell us that we should remember that if a particular ruler or of that particular country asks us to hate the adjoining country, or hate a particular space, then or people belonging to a particular community, all that is wrong. When we do that, what happens is we are depriving ourselves, we are cheating ourselves, and we are actually condemning ourselves to hate someone. So he says that we should stay away from all these negativity, and we should not consider anyone to be our enemy. So, see, when a baby is born into this world, the baby does not know the feeling of hatred. The baby only knows how to love, how to laugh, how to cry. But the feeling of anger, the feeling of hatred is instilled in the child, or the child learns it by seeing others doing it or performing it. So, unless a person instills in our mind that, see, that particular group of people or that particular country has to be hated, then we hate that set of people, because we are made to hate someone. You hate someone because your mind is filled with probably a lot of poison against that person. Okay, other than that, we all know only one feeling, that is to love. But hatred is taught to us. So when a particular ruler says that, you should not love people belonging to this country, then we have a fear. Then we hate anybody who belongs to that particular country. Okay, even if that person is good in nature. So he's stating that, when there is a war, both the parties, both the countries, or both the teams will have to bear the loss. And so this is why the poet is asking us that, or telling us that war is not in our favor. He's saying that whenever we pick any weapon against someone, we should remember one thing, that we are making Mother Earth dirty, because weapons will kill people and their bodies will fall on earth, making it dirty. So whenever war happens, it leads to a lot of bloodshed, fire, death, and these dead bodies accumulate on the earth, and it kind of makes the land impure. So this fire of war which erupts in the minds of people, and which is literally utilized during a war, and the smoke which comes out of this fire and the dust which fills the air, it pollutes the air and it outrages the purity of the air. So, with all these things, the poet is trying to give us a message that we should not indulge in war. And as a final statement, he reiterates the fact that, we should always remember that no men are foreign and no countries are strange. So, throughout the poem, he is stating a single thought, that is, all men are same, all men are equal. And to promote the concept of universal brotherhood, it is important that we have to accept the fact that every human being on this earth are same. They eat, they live, they die the same way. They also enjoy the bounties of nature like sunshine, land, water, everything in equal measure. So we can actually call this as a peace poem. I hope you understood the poem. Now moving on to the literary devices used. The rhyme scheme of the poem, if we look at it, it does not have a particular rhyme scheme because the whole poem is written in free verse. The first literary device used, we can say, is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound into a more closely placed words, okay, in the same line. In stanza 1, second line, body breathes, b sound is repeated. Stanza 2, second line, was long winter. So the was winter, w sound, the w sound is repeated. So that's the examples of alliteration. Then we have metaphor. Okay, so for metaphor we have on stanza 1. Here on on line 2, uniforms refers to, uniform does not mean just the literal uniform, rather it is referring to the military of a particular country. So the military belonging to different countries is referred under the term uniform. And in stanza 2, when it says was long winter starved, it is basically referring to wartime is referred to the winter season. And we all know what happens in winter season, isn't it? Nothing grows. It's completely cold everywhere. People are always within their house. Not much cultivation happens during winter, and there will be, sometimes there will be also scarcity of food. So the similar things happen during war also. When it is wartime, the scarcity of food, people can't step outside their house, cultivation doesn't happen. So here wartime is compared to the winter season. The next poetic device used is repetition. Repetition is used throughout the poem. So here the term remember is used in every stanza. So in every stanza you can find the word remember. So which is basically, it is repeated, I think, around 5 times to state that, this is something that we should always keep in our mind. This is not something to be forgotten, but rather it has to be kept in our mind. We need to remember this is what we have to do. And also the first line and the last line of the poem is same. So the first line is repeated in the last line also, which is, remember, no men are foreign and no countries strange. Okay, this is repeated in stanza 1 and stanza 5. Then we have another important poetic device, which is enchantment. Enchantment refers to the running lines in poetry from one line to the next without using any kind of punctuation at the end of a line. Okay, when there is no comma, when there is no full stop, but a line runs into the next line without any sort of punctuation, we call it as enchantment. Now, examples are in stanza 1, lines 2, 3. So, when lines 2 starts, there is no punctuation at the end. It only ends at line 4. So, 2, 3 is enchantment. Then stanza 2, line 3 to 4. Line 3 to 4, if you see, there is no punctuation after line 3. Then stanza 3, lines 1, 2, which means lines 1, 2 and 3, there is no punctuation. Okay, similarly in stanza 1, in lines 2 and 3, there is no punctuation. Okay, then stanza 4, line 1 and 2, there is no punctuation. And in stanza 5, again in line 2, there is no punctuation. Okay, so enchantment, the examples are stanza 1, line 2 and 3, there is no punctuation. Stanza 2, line 3. Then stanza 3, line 2 and 3. Stanza 4, line 1 and 2. I think 1, 2 and 4 does not have any punctuation. Then stanza 5, line 2 does not have any punctuation. Okay, so this is the example of enchantment. So I hope you have understood all the literary devices used as well as the poem. Thank you, children.